John Thomson is still revered as one of the finest goalkeepers of the interwar period. Despite being an evangelical Protestant, he would also become an icon at the Catholic Glasgow Celtic. And, for one sad day in September 1931, Thomson bridged the sectarian divide as Celtic and Rangers fans joined to mourn his tragic and early death. Thomson was born on the 28th of January 1909 in Kirkcaldy, 10 miles north of Edinburgh. Growing up in nearby Cardendon, he showed early promise as a footballer. As schoolteacher Annie Lawton put it, he was a born goalkeeper. By the age of 14, he'd followed his father into work at Bow Hill Colliery. Working 300 yards below ground, his job involved uncoupling the chain clips of wagons bringing coal to the surface. Though he was slender and his hands were unusually small, the work helped condition him for goalkeeping, allowing him to develop what biographer Tom Grieg called a vice-like strength with powerful wrists and forearms. Thomson was spotted by Celtic while playing for Wellesley Juniors in 1926. Club scout Steve Callaghan had been dispatched to watch the opposition goalkeeper, but it was Thomson who impressed, and he would join Celtic for £10 in October that year. With miners around the country still taking part in the general strike, professional football represented a more stable income. Not to Thomson's mother though, who, in dreadful augury, believed that football was too dangerous for her son. 4 months later, shortly after his 18th birthday, Thomson was given his debut by manager Willie Maley, who was concerned by the performances of first-choice keeper Peter Shelvin. Thomson impressed, keeping his place for the rest of the season as Celtic finished third and beat Division 2 side East Fife 3-1 to claim their 12th Scottish Cup. In October 1927, Celtic also won the Glasgow Cup, beating Rangers 2-1 in the final. The two sides met again a week later in the league with Rangers winning 1-0, but Thomson was the star man in both games. The Daily Record said that for the second week in succession, the Celtic keeper was simply immense. All sorts of shots came at Thomson, point-blank range, low shots caught in a vice, running out to kick clear and clutch crosses again and again. But the following 2 seasons weren't as successful for Celtic, with the Glasgow Cup their only solace as Rangers won 5 consecutive league titles. But Thomson's star continued to rise, and he was selected for the Scottish Football League 11 against the Irish League 11 in October 1928, in a game they won 8-2. But results for the League 11 were mixed. 2 years later, in a match against the English Football League side, England fans at White Hart Lane gave Thomson a standing ovation after an inspired performance which meant that a 7-3 defeat still flattered the Scottish side. By then, he'd also made his first appearance for the Scottish national team. On the 8th of May 1930, he played in one of Scotland's first official friendlies abroad, in which they beat France 2-0 at Paris' Stade de Cologne. According to the Scotsman, Thomson particularly distinguished himself by leaping out and punching hard shots from 8 yards range with both fists. Later that year, he played in a 1-1 draw with Wales, and then in front of a British record 129,000 fans at Hampden Park, as Scotland beat England 2-0. In his 4 international appearances, Thomson conceded just 1 goal. 1930 brought his 3rd Glasgow Cup, but also a warning sign. Renowned for putting his body on the line by diving into crowds of players to secure the ball, he was severely injured in a match against Airdrieonians, losing 2 teeth, breaking his jaw, damaging his collarbone and fracturing several ribs. His mother again pleaded with him to retire. But undeterred, Thomson played on, and the 1930-31 season saw him win his 2nd Scottish Cup, Celtic winning a replay 4-2 against Motherwell. In 1931, Thomson got engaged to his partner Margaret Finlay, but fate would prevent the marriage from ever taking place. On the 5th of September of that year, Celtic travelled to Ibrox to play Rangers on Derby Day, as teams around Scotland faced off against their closest rivals. Old Firm games were brutal affairs characterised by riots and ambushes of visiting supporters, and violence was common. But the incident which claimed 22-year-old Thomson's life was no attack, simply a horrific accident. Early in the second half, Rangers forward Sam English, just 23 himself, was put clean through on goal. Thomson rushed out to close him down, diving at his feet and deflecting the ball away, but his head collided with English's knee, rupturing an artery in his temple and causing a depression in his skull. The severity of the incident wasn't immediately apparent to the crowd, whose boos were quietened at the urging of Rangers captain Davy Micklejohn. Thomson was stretchered from the field and taken to Victoria Infirmary, while Rangers manager William Struth sent a car to collect Thomson's parents from Cardenden. But he couldn't be saved. An emergency operation to relieve the pressure caused by the swelling of his brain was unsuccessful, and Thomson died that night at 9:25 p.m, just 22 years old. Details of Thomson's memorial service were only made public a day before the event, which took place in his hometown of Cardenden. But the attendance was vast. Some mourners reportedly walked the 55 miles from Glasgow. Those who could afford the fare took the train, but 30,000 people, Protestants and Catholics together, filled the streets on the 9th of September. Sam English, who wept openly at the ceremony, was instantly cleared of any wrongdoing by officials. He would also visit Thomson's parents in the weeks after the accident and was publicly exonerated of any blame. But the incident haunted his career. He left Scotland and scored prolifically for Liverpool, but retired from football before his 30th birthday, taunted and jeered by opposition defenders and fans. He said he'd played 7 years of joyless sport. After a battle with motor neuron disease, English died in 1967 at the age of 58. In 2008, the trophy awarded to Rangers' top scorer each season was named after him, with Chris Boyd becoming the inaugural winner of the Sam English Bowl. John Thomson's memory remains alive too, forever remembered as Celtic's prince of goalkeepers. For those who saw him, he was unmatched in the position, the best Scottish football had ever seen. As journalist and commentator John Arlott said, he was a great player who came to the game as a boy and left it still a boy. He had no predecessor, no successor. He was unique. In November 2008, in response to a petition led by author Tom Grieg, John Thomson was finally inducted into the Scottish Football Hall of Fame.